Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it is the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston, and I am here with a kind-hearted woman named Brenda, who has agreed to share this session with you so you can benefit from her wisdom and experience and strength and hope, as well as her trials and tribulations and stumbles and failures and observations. Right, Brenda?
Correct.
Okay. So give me just a little background. What's helped? What are you struggling with? And how can I help?
I have struggled with binge eating. I am 49 years old. I've been overweight the majority of my life. When I think back now, binge eating has had a hold on my life since I was an early teen, maybe even less than that, maybe 9, 10 years old. Sneaking food, eating in excessive amounts, and not ever really knowing what hunger is, eating for comfort more than anything else. And I struggled on and off through my college years with some bulimia, never had treatment. I kind of came out of it on my own. But I've always struggled with food and the relationship that I have with food. And in the last several years, I've been really struggling because I've started reading about plant-based diets and that kind of thing for health, probably in around 2009 when Rip Esselstyn wrote his book. I've struggled with that for the last 11 years because there's so much food information out there. And for people like me that are constantly looking for a healthy relationship with food, I feel like overwhelmed all the time. And I can't ever just stay with something because I think the pig has a hold on me as well. And it's so interesting because I'm always looking online. Online is a blessing and a curse because, you can find so much information and so much misinformation. But this is kind of longer than I intended, but
Okay.
I'm an emergency room nurse, and my facility had an in-service probably about a year ago about eating disorders because we were going to be starting a wing in our hospital where we took care of patients that had eating disorders that needed to be hospitalized. And so the ER nurses all had to go to this in-service, and the women from the facility that came to speak to us brought to my attention that binge eating disorder is actually now on the DSM. And when they mentioned that, literally tears formed in my eyes because I realized that I have been struggling with an eating disorder really my entire life. I thought my little bulimia thing in college was just a side thing that was really nothing. But to actually put a label that binge eating disorder is actually a disorder really just hit me. And I was like, you know what? I got to get on top of this. This is the reason why I can't get healthy, why I have these struggles with food and my weight and that kind of thing. So I started doing some research online, and that is how I found you. And when I first listened, I've listened to your audio version on Audible a couple of times, most recently this past week, just to get me all ready to talk to you. But it resonates so much because the concepts make so much sense. And it seems like it really should be simple. But that's what I struggle with, is I struggle with maybe I don't value myself enough and I let the pig's voice drown out my own. And so that is what I'm really trying to hear the pig and separate that the pig is something separate than myself.
Do you have a very clear food plan or at least one simple food rule?
I got your workbook probably about 4 months ago. And honestly, I have to say, ashamed to say that I haven't really gotten too far into it.
You're not the only one who does that. That's okay.
I wrote a bunch of rules down, and then I realized that I'm really getting overzealous and I need to just stick to one. And the one thing that I would really like to eat a plant-based diet, that would make me very happy because I like healthy food and I like fruits and vegetables and I like the benefit that eating a whole food plant-based diet has for your health and well-being. I get stuck on the fact that my schedule has me working all sorts of hours and I'm tired.
We can deal with all that for sure. You mentioned two different types of diet. You mentioned a plant-based diet and you mentioned a whole foods plant-based diet. Plant-based would include all types of vegan.
I don't want to do vegan junk food. That's just as bad as non-vegan junk food.
How do you know if something is a whole food plant-based source?
Minimally processed. Everything is processed in some form, unless you are going and picking an apple off a tree. Or I think to say minimally processed is probably the safest way to say it. You see now you go to the grocery store and everything has a label on it that says plant-based. And that's not what I'm looking for. I want to make my quinoa. I don't want to buy it in a pre-made.
So cooking is okay, but otherwise you're going to ask, does it grow?
Yes.
Okay. And if it grows, then it's okay. If it grows and it's processed too much, then it's not okay. Do you feel like there's any ambiguity there where the pig can say this is whole foods, but it's really not?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Peanut butter is one of the biggest offenders in my life. I used to always say if I could only eat one food the rest of my life, it would be peanut butter. I've gotten to the point where I really can't even keep it in my house.
I'm going to do something a little radical with you. I'm going to ask you to define this in a different way because the difficulty hearing a pig has to do with shifting definitions and ambiguity.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you really have a solid definition yet of what a whole foods plant-based diet is.
Okay.
And what you might want to do, and remember, you can change this if you find that there's something that we left out or anything like that. But just for the sake of having a really clear bullseye, I'm personally very familiar with this. You might want to say something like, the only foods and drinks I will ever eat again, bear with me, I know it's a little scary, are, and if you want to go with whole foods, then the list would probably be fruits, vegetables, beans, raw nuts and seeds, and we'll define exceptions if you want to include raw nuts and seeds, mushrooms. What else am I missing? Whole grains.
Yes, whole grains.
What else am I missing?
I do find that I have avoided using a lot of oil, but I feel like I can use a little bit of oil without it being a problem, like a little olive oil or avocado oil, because I cook for my husband and my son and my other kids when they're home from college. And in order to get everybody to enjoy what I make, I might use a little bit of oil when I'm roasting vegetables or that kind of thing.
Okay, so we'll say, and quote unquote, healthy oils, and you'll make a list of what the healthy oils are.
Okay.
Anything else?
Are we talking about alcohol in this?
Are we?
I mean, I don't drink a lot of alcohol and it's not a problem for me, but I do like red wine and I do probably have about 2 glasses of red wine a week. And I feel like that's okay. I don't really think I need to give that up.
The only food and drink that I'll ever eat again are whole fruits and vegetables, beans, raw nuts and seeds, mushrooms, whole grains, healthy oils, and red wine. Anything else?
I live in South Florida. Do you also live in South Florida?
I do. I'm in Pompano.
Okay. I'm in Jupiter. So I used to eat fish before I was trying to do a whole food plant-based diet. And I do enjoy fish once in a while. And I feel like, we don't go out for dinner very often, but when we do go out for dinner, I usually like to have something that I wouldn't make at home. And so sushi is something that we will have when we're out. And I feel like that is okay. And because we do it so infrequently, and I think in general, because it's locally caught and, that kind of thing, that it's not terrible. So I would like to include that once or twice a month.
And sushi at a restaurant up to twice per calendar month.
I think that's safe.
The white rice is okay in the sushi?
Yeah.
So the only foods and drinks I'll ever eat again are whole fruits and vegetables, beans, raw nuts and seeds, mushrooms, whole grains, healthy oils, red wine, and sushi at a restaurant up to twice per calendar month.
That sounds pretty fair.
Just take a breath and be sure. What do you think?
Now I'm thinking of the times when I'm pressed and I don't have time to cook and I'm running around or we're traveling and I don't have things on hand where I might have to reach out for prepared foods or settle for something that's not necessarily the whole thing, like maybe something that's packaged. I don't do that very often, but I think that it's reasonable to have that in there as an option if necessary.
What would the option be?
You mean like what would the food option be?
Yeah.
Like if I were traveling and I needed to eat something on the go and I didn't have something packed with me, like if we were at a restaurant and they had a vegan option. I don't really like to eat the Impossible burgers or Beyond Meat or that kind of thing. But if I'm at a restaurant and that is the only option I have, I mean, I can always go for a potato and steamed vegetables and that kind of thing. So that shouldn't be a problem.
What do you want to do?
I want to avoid it. I want to say that I don't eat that.
Okay. It's just a little more work when you're traveling. You have to look things up beforehand. And
and I'm generally pretty good with that, but I hate to not put it in the plan and then be like, oh, crap.
Do you want to let yourself say any vegan restaurant meal once per calendar month?
I think that's a good idea. Yes. Thank you.
So you have a little safety valve then.
Yeah.
So the only food and drink I'll ever eat again are fruit, vegetables, beans, raw nuts and seeds, mushrooms, whole grains, healthy oils, red wine, sushi at a restaurant up to twice per calendar month, and any vegan restaurant option up to once per calendar month.
Okay.
Does that feel better?
That does.
We're almost at March 1st here. What would it be like to wake up on April 1st knowing that you comply with this 100%?
It would be wonderful. And then it would also be a little bit scary because what I have found in the past is that I am my own worst enemy. And I will have a taste of success. And then the pig will say, look what you've done.
At the moment, I'm not interested in the pig. At the moment, I want to know, we'll give the pig a chance in a minute. What I want to know, I know the pig says you can't do it, but what if you could? What would it be like to wake up in April knowing that you did this 100%?
It would feel amazing.
How so?
Because I would feel accomplished and that I had really, truly invested in myself and stuck with it. And it would motivate me to continue on.
So you accomplished something, you stuck with your goals, and you'd be motivated to continue on?
Yes.
Why is this goal so important to you? Besides just being able to pick a goal and stick to it.
I feel like I have struggled my entire life with this, trying to get a handle on things and trying to be in control and not feel like food has control over me. Mm-hmm. And I want to feel comfortable in a healthy body, especially as I am entering the second half of my life.
And you feel like this is the best way to fuel your body. It's a nutritionally complete and sound way of eating. You've experimented enough in your life, and this is your best thinking about what the bullseye should be for you to have a healthy second half of your life.
Absolutely. Okay. And believe me, I've tried everything else. You know, I had a lot of success doing Weight Watchers in the past, but the one thing that I found was that it made me overly obsessed with food because I was counting every point and trying to figure out how to get around and manipulate the system. And the more I focused on the food, the more I felt like the food controlled me.
And if you're really eating whole foods, plant-based, you don't have to focus that much on it. I understand.
Exactly.
Okay. So you'd feel free of the mental obsession.
Correct.
Is there any other reason that this would be really good?
Well, it would help me to lose weight. I've been a runner, not a fast runner. I run slow, but I can run long for several years, probably since my third child was born 15 years ago. I hadn't raced for a while. This year I signed up for a race out in Colorado in June, and I am training for that. So I feel like it's the best way for me to fuel my body for that as well. So, you know, I want to keep myself free of injury. I want to lose weight so I'm not putting as much pressure on my joints and feel good about myself, feel healthy about myself, and see myself as an athletic person.
What happens if you keep letting the pig win? Not in a month at the race, but in 5 years.
Well, I feel like my health, per my lab work, it's not deteriorating, but I know that it can do so quickly. I feel like a failure because the people that I have around me that know what I'm trying to do will see me as, oh, she says she's going to do this. She starts this and she never finishes it. You know.
Okay, so let's talk to your pig now. Why does the pig say that you can't do this or you won't do this or you shouldn't do this? So you're telling me that she never follows through. The pig
Yes.
says you never follow through.
Correct.
And the rest of that squeal is, therefore, you might as well screw the plan and binge right now.
Yes.
Okay, what else does the pig say?
The pig says, just enjoy what you have. You're fairly healthy. You're not morbidly obese. Just enjoy life. You work really hard. You're doing all this stuff. You don't have time to spend focusing on your diet. Just live.
Enjoy what you have. You aren't morbidly obese. You're relatively healthy. You work really hard. You don't have time to focus on eating healthy. So just live.
Yep.
Okay, I'm writing this all down.
Okay.
What else?
I don't know. I feel like the fact that I have tried so many times and always fall back, I feel like I just don't have the ability to stick with anything.
You've tried so many times.
And I've had success, but it never lasts.
Success never lasts. Therefore, you might as well give up and binge now.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, those are pretty big squeals.
Mm-hmm.
Depressing squeals, too.
It is.
Should we refute them?
Yes.
Okay. The pig says that you should enjoy what you have. You're relatively healthy. You work hard. You're not morbidly obese. You can't afford the time to focus on eating healthy. Therefore, you might as well give up and binge now. You assume that the pig wins by telling a half-truth that hides its lie. What's the half-truth? And more importantly, where is the pig lying? Do you want me to help you?
Yes.
Well, the pig says you should enjoy what you have, that you're healthy and you work hard and you're not morbidly obese, and therefore you can't really afford the time to eat healthy. You should just live. The truth is those are all reasons to put the time in to eating healthy so that you can keep and enhance them and live out the second half of your life in the best quality possible.
Yes.
The pig says you can't afford the time to focus on this and eat healthy, but I don't think you can afford the time not to because people deteriorate at our age.
That's true.
Is that convincing to you?
It is. It makes total sense. And, I remember listening to that this morning, actually, when the dog and I were walking. I was re-listening, and I remember you talking about that. And it's true.
What did the dog think about it?
The dog just walks along. She's just happy to be there.
She could care
He
less.
wants me to keep being able to walk her. So
Okay, there you go.
So she's invested.
There you go. Okay. When the pig says you've tried so many times before, but you always fall down later, you've never had long-term success, so you might as well give up and binge now. What's wrong with that line of thinking?
Well, on the one hand, I feel like the fact that I keep trying is a success. If I gave up trying, then the pig would win. But one of these times that I keep trying, I will prevail. And at least I keep getting back up again.
Yeah, and you could even take out the word at least, because the research shows that the path to success involves the willingness to get up after every failure until you stay up. The main difference between people who resolve the problem in the long run, keep weight off, the people who go up and down, is really the number of attempts. So the pig says that the number of failures in your past is predictive of failure in the future, but the truth is that the number of attempts in your past is more predictive of success. So it's actually pointing out your fortitude and resilience. It's actually pointing out a strength. Does that make sense?
It does. And, it's funny because I've only started to really think that way since I first listened to your book and I started listening to the podcast and listening to other people that have had similar experiences. And it has made a light bulb go off in my own head that makes me feel like maybe this time I'm onto something.
You are. And every time you're stronger. The last squeal was a kind of version of the one we just went over, but it says you never follow through, so you might as well screw the plan and just binge now. Same thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and I also struggled for years with smoking. It was kind of the same thing. You quit and you only stay quit for a week or a month or whatever and you start again. And I had always considered myself to be like a casual smoker, a social smoker, that kind of thing, that I always had control over it. I could quit whenever I wanted, that kind of thing. Also, that failure where I had quit and then started up again and then quit and started up again, it kind of goes along with that same thing with the binge eating. I have been quit now and I'm not a smoker anymore and I'm not a binger anymore because that's the only way to never binge again is to never binge again, right?
That's the only way. So Brenda, we have about 2 minutes, a little bit less. I'm wondering how confident you're feeling now that the only foods, drinks that you'll ever eat again in March are fruit, vegetables, beans, raw nuts and seeds, mushrooms, whole grains, healthy oils, red wine, and sushi at a restaurant up to twice per calendar month, and any vegan restaurant meal you want once per calendar month. How confident are you that that's all you're going to have? If I talk to you in a month, that you will have been successful?
Very confident.
Could you give me a number?
I will give you a 100% number.
And any doubt or insecurity you hear in your mind, you know that's just your pig, right?
Absolutely.
And now you know that any thought that suggests you should have anything else is the pig. This is how you hear the pig. You have a really clear definition.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any questions or concerns?
No, and I really appreciate you helping me make that food rule, because you would laugh if you saw my page of written rules that I had, that you have helped me narrow down into one that I can grab onto.
Good. It'll change your life. That rule will change your
Absolutely.
life. That's all you need.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time so much.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn.
Okay. I'll talk
I
to you
really
soon.
appreciate you.
Okay. I appreciate you too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.